His children, 6 children, are in the courtroom at this point listening to all of this. And the jury was picked knowing that they needed a certain level of comfort to hear these types of descriptions. It was very emotional and really tough to hear, bro.
Is there any message for the alleged victims? Do you apologize on behalf of your father? Do you believe your father's innocent? Do you still support your father doing that? Do you apologize on behalf of your...
For the first time, all 3 Combs sisters appeared in court, sitting silently in the front row to show their support for their father. But less than an hour later, they stood up, held each other tightly, and left the courtroom in tears. What exactly did the video reveal at that moment? Something so harrowing that even Diddy's daughters couldn't bear to watch.
Piece of evidence because it sets the stage when we're talking about coercion or fraud or force.
We need you to step to the side. Step to the side, please.
Inside the Manhattan federal courtroom, tension hung heavy in the air just moments before the hearing began. Cassie's team introduced a never-before-seen video, reportedly capturing scenes from one of Diddy's controversial freak-offs, a key piece of evidence fueling the allegations against him. As the tape was formally entered into evidence, the expressions of the Combs family darkened, as if they instinctively knew they were about to witness something they couldn't unsee. Just minutes into the footage, Delilah quickly covered the eyes of her twin sister Jessie. Meanwhile, Chance and Justin remained frozen, their eyes locked on the screen, until a familiar face appeared. Was it Kim Porter?
Drives. The witness says 8 videos featured 8 celebrities at Diddy freak-offs or parties, and that 6 were males, 2 were females. The drive also included a manuscript of an alleged Kim Porter memoir, a memoir that her 4 kids insist is fake.
Whispers swept across the courtroom like a sudden gust of wind breaking the silence. Then, without saying a word, all 3 girls stood up and walked out. The lingering question remains, what did they see in that footage that made them flee during their first appearance?
Beneath Manhattan's leaden sky, a bustling crowd converged on the federal courthouse where the trial of Sean Diddy Combs entered what seemed like just another day. Outside, reporters jostled for position, cameras flashed incessantly, and protest signs rose high, bearing the words "justice for the victims." Murmurs of speculation rippled through the throng, from curious onlookers to legal analysts, all sensing the weighty atmosphere before a trial promising high drama. Inside, the courtroom was packed, not a single seat vacant. Sketch artists' pens raced across paper, cameras clicked rhythmically, and the jury's gazes were steely, poised to dissect every detail. The air in that oak-paneled room felt compressed, each breath seeming to fight for existence.
The unexpected presence of the Combs family drew all eyes. For the first time since the scandal broke, the family's reserved seats were no longer vacant. Chance, Delilah, and Jessie, Diddy's 3 daughters, sat prominently in the front row, joined by Justin Dorr Combs, the defendant's son. They were impeccably dressed, their simple yet elegant attire radiating an unanticipated maturity. The girls' faces were stoic, their eyes seemingly concealing a web of intricate emotions. When the media inquired about their attendance, Chance responded with a calm but resolute voice, "We're here to support our father." Yet in their gazes something felt unfinished, a subtle void, as if they were steeling themselves for something far weightier than their words could express.
Prosecutor Rachel Harper, a woman in her 50s with sleek silver hair, pulled tightly back and narrow glasses resting on her nose, rose from her seat. Her voice, calm yet commanding, rang out with the precision of a drumbeat as she addressed the court. Locking eyes with Cassie, she said, "Please explain to the court what has been described as a freak-off and your involvement." The room seemed to fall still. Cassie inhaled deeply, her eyes scanning the courtroom and briefly resting on Alex, who sat nearby, his steady gaze grounding her. With lips pressed tightly together, she began to speak, her voice low but firm, as if each word carried the weight of years of silence.
He was a powerful man, an icon in the music industry. He promised to take me to the top, to make me a star. But what I got wasn't stardom.
She paused for a moment, her eyes drifting across the jury as if to make sure they fully understood the gravity of what she was about to share. "A year after we started dating," she said, "he introduced me to something he called the freak-off. He told me it was a way to relax, to explore limits. But for me, it was like being stuck inside a nightmare I couldn't escape from."
The freak-off essentially was something that Cassie said she learned about through Sean Combs about a year into their relationship. He described it as voyeurism.
Cassie described the freak-offs as highly organized events, each one carefully constructed by Diddy, who exercised complete control. He called it voyeurism, she said, her voice trembling slightly as she recalled the trauma. He liked watching me with other people, but it didn't stop at watching. He controlled everything. What I wore, the lighting, the acts, even how much baby oil we applied to make our bodies shine just the way he liked. Cassie went on to explain how Diddy would send her to certain stores to pick out provocative clothing, often making the final decision himself. I didn't have a say, she added, her voice sharper now, eyes locked on the jury. If I ever said no, he'd threaten me. I felt completely trapped, like there was no way out.
The relationship goes, if it's something that you didn't want to share, it's your secret, it's your secret. I do believe in karma if you're hurting people.
According to Cassie, these weren't occasional parties, they became a regular part of her life. Some lasted 36 hours. Others went on for 72, she said, voice shaking. One time, it stretched into 4 days. It was like a twisted routine. She described how she was forced to help organize the gatherings, using platforms like Craigslist and even booking travel. Miami, New York, Vegas, Louisiana. I was the one arranging everything, she admitted, lowering her gaze. We made it look like his team was scouting talent, but it was all part of his plan. Diddy controlled not just the people, but the very atmosphere of the freak-offs. At first it was candles. Then he brought in professional lighting, like, we were actors on a set and he was the director, she explained. He planned every move, dictated every act, and even supplied drugs. I remember once before a freak-off, I had to text him and ask, which pill should I take? And he replied, giving me exact instructions, she said, her voice breaking.
With each moment, the testimony became more and more rapid. Her delivery, though, it never changed. As a matter of fact.
The trial reached its breaking point when Cassie's lawyer, Samantha Klein, a woman with sharply tied brown hair and eyes like steel, stood and made a chilling request. Your Honor, she said, her voice clear and cutting through the tension. We asked permission to show video evidence from a 2018 freak-off event, archived under the name White Party footage. A collective silence fell across the courtroom. Every gaze turned to the screen in the corner as the video flickered on. The first images showed a luxurious seaside estate. Palm trees swayed gently. Neon lights flashed rhythmically. A crowd moved. In a wild blur, music throbbed in the background, blending with laughter and muffled noise. These were Diddy's infamous white parties, exclusive gatherings where stars, moguls, and models partied without limits. But the footage told a different story, one of decadence laced with darkness. Familiar faces flashed across the screen, a high-profile businessman in crisp white linen, a pop sensation with silver blonde hair, a model in a glittering gown. But they weren't just dancing. The video captured illicit activity and moments that crossed lines no one had consented to discuss publicly. It wasn't glamorous, it was suffocating. From the stand, Cassie's voice broke the silence. I wasn't just part of it, she said, her tone firm yet tinged with pain. I had to plan it all, from finding people to making sure they showed up where he wanted, when he wanted. I followed his orders, but not because I wanted to. I was terrified. He threatened to leak videos of me if I said no. She explained how Diddy habitually recorded the freak-offs, keeping those videos like ammunition. He told me those tapes were his safety net, she added, her voice cracking. If I disobeyed, he'd use them to ruin everything. My image, my career, my life.
In her words, she didn't want to do it, but she felt like she had to do it.
It's so difficult to hear all of these details.
Then, the footage changed. The courtroom fell into an eerie stillness. A woman appeared on screen, slumped on a couch, her eyes glassy and distant. She seemed unaware she was being filmed. Her face was unmistakable. Kim Porter, the mother of Delilah and Jesse. In the gallery, Chance gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Delilah and Jesse froze, expressions drained of all color. Delilah clutched her sister's hand so tightly her nails dug deep, as if grounding both of them in the moment. Their eyes shifted to their father, then back to the screen, now showing their mother in a dazed, almost lifeless state. It wasn't just a scene, it was a silent accusation, a confrontation with a truth no one in that courtroom was ready for. Kim, once known for her resilience and strength, looked like she didn't belong there, like she had been pulled into something against her will. Her appearance in that video raised more than questions. It reopened old wounds. Kim's death, ruled as pneumonia in 2018, suddenly felt less like a tragedy and more like a mystery. Had she known too much?
They might got into a little spat, a little fight, something went down, and Puff did that play fighting stuff that he always do, and that pillow fighting stuff, and probably smothered her.
Diddy finally snapped. Slamming his hand on the table, he stood abruptly, his chair screeching as it toppled behind him. "Turn that off," he shouted, his voice raw. "My kids are in here. You can't do this." But his words were overpowered by sobs. Jessie was crying, barely able to contain herself. Chance jumped up, grabbed her sisters, and rushed them out of the courtroom, their cries echoing down the hallway, grief and confusion in every note. One juror lowered their head, visibly shaken. A reporter sitting in the back leaned over and she whispered, "This isn't just a trial, it's a full-blown tragedy." Out in the hallway, Delilah wrapped her arms around Jessie, trying to shield her from the storm. The image of their mother, hollow-eyed and distant, had shattered their illusion of the woman they had loved and the father they thought they knew. Delilah remembered the quiet nights when Kim would sing them to sleep, her voice calm and comforting. Now that voice was gone. Jessie, through tears, whispered just one question. Why was Mom even there? No one could answer. Not the lawyer, not the court, not even Diddy. And in that silence grew a terrifying thought. Had their father, the man who claimed to love them above all, dragged their mother into that darkness and played a role in her tragic end? Diddy's defense attorney, Victor Langston, a towering man with salt and pepper hair and a voice like thunder, rose to challenge Cassie. His eyes locked onto her, sharp and unrelenting. "You've painted yourself as a victim," he began coolly. "But you signed a 10-album deal, lived in penthouses, traveled the world. Didn't you choose to be part of these freak-offs to stay in Diddy's world?" The courtroom tensed. Cassie inhaled, her eyes briefly meeting Alex's. "No," she said firmly. What looked like privilege was survival. He controlled everything. My music, my choices, even my mind. I didn't choose this. I was coerced. A quiet murmur rippled across the jury, but Langston leaned in further. "Did you and Kim Porter ever collaborate to organize these events for Mr. Combs?" The mention of Kim, a wound still fresh, cut deep. Cassie's voice trembled but held. Kim was trapped too. We weren't enablers, we were prisoners. Though Diddy remained seated, his discomfort was clear. His finger tapped anxiously. His eyes flicked to the now empty seats where Delilah and Jessie had sat before, fleeing in tears, shaken by seeing their mother, Kim Porter, dazed in the video. But the real question was, why were they there that day? Chance and Justin stayed behind, composed and unreadable. Was it loyalty or silent rebellion? For years, the Combs family was seen as unbreakable, especially after Kim's death, but beneath the image were fractures. Chance, not Kim's child, had grown up on the outside looking in, her pain quiet, buried. Justin, Diddy's firstborn, had learned to play the long game. Raised under scrutiny, tested by Diddy's mind games, he grew sharp, strategic. Their appearance in court wasn't coincidence. Diddy had reportedly banned family from attending, but they came anyway. Whispers point to Justin as the instigator, quietly stirring Chance's doubts, using her pain to ignite a confrontation. Have you ever asked who Dad really is? He'd whispered Chance, aching for truth, called Delilah and Jessie. She never mentioned Justin. Or the video, just a plea? We need to be there. For Dad, but also for Mom. Some now believe Justin did more than influence. He may have delivered a damning 2018 video himself, timed to shatter Diddy's world from within. The infamous White Party archive, the footage showing Kim Porter in a disoriented, vulnerable state, wasn't discovered by chance. According to inside sources, it was Justin who mobilized his private network, discreetly delivering the video to Cassie Ventura's legal team. He moved in shadows, knowing Diddy's loyal inner circle would do anything to keep such footage buried. Rumors swirled that Justin even arranged private protection for Cassie and her husband Alex Fine, anticipating backlash. One encrypted message, allegedly from Justin, read simply, "She's the only one who can speak the truth." Cassie's testimony was razor sharp. She stood before the court and peeled back years of manipulation and fear. "He wanted me to belong to him," she said, voice steady but charged. Obedience was survival. In the front row sat Chance and Delilah and Jesse, each daughter struggling with her own truth. Chance, armed with Justin's warning, stayed silent, guarded. Delilah and Jesse, unaware of what was coming, looked to their father for reassurance until the screen came alive. The white party footage rolled, flashing neon, blurred chaos, and then Kim Porter, vacant-eyed, hollow. The courtroom shattered. Delilah and Jesse fled, screaming, their sobs echoing like thunder. Diddy surged forward, roaring, "Stop the video! My children are here!" But it was too late. He didn't look at the screen. He looked at Chance and Justin. Their faces held no shock, only knowing. Chance stared back, stone-faced. Justin, arms crossed, cold-eyed, didn't flinch. Behind the icy calm, a flicker of satisfaction and maybe sorrow. Online, the world exploded. Shoe Kim Porter truth and Diddy secrets trended fast. Cassie didn't just testify, one post read. She broke the silence Diddy built his empire on, but whispers grew louder. Why had Justin and Chance, not Kim's biological children, ensured? That footage surfaced on X theories multiplied. Justin used Chance's pain to bring Diddy down. Justin wants power. Chance wants answers. No matter the motive, this was no longer just a legal trial. It was a reckoning. Cassie's testimony, backed by the video, revealed a world of control, not glamour. The freak-offs weren't parties, they were prisons. And Kim Porter's vacant gaze, frozen on screen, asked the one question no one could ignore. Was her death truly an accident or a secret Diddy needed buried?